think when you look at the risk of an investment, you have to consider the risk of inaction. I'm Nabila Merchant. I'm the Senior Associate at the TELUS Pollinator Fund. We're a $100 million social impact fund that invests in early stage solutions that address climate change, healthcare, agriculture, and inclusive communities. In climate, more often than not, we're finding you need hardware solutions for real world problems. What that means is it costs more to build, but it also costs more to distribute. We've been in this space for a while now though, and we're seeing this huge shift in momentum, a lot of receptiveness from governments from a policy perspective, and really incentivizing not only businesses to take advantage of that financing, but to really step in their own way to be customers for these solutions as well. Both of these immense shifts are really helping startups gain that really important momentum that they need in order to get credibility in the market and eventually scale. At the Pollinator Fund, we really strongly believe in a friendlier future, which means building businesses that not only are focused on profit, but are focused on purpose as well. We also want to back exceptional, diverse founders that have the tenacity to bring that vision to life. On the other side of the table, we want to be able to give back. How can we leverage TELUS's network in order to support our portfolio growth through introductions, through fundraising, but also mentors and partnerships that we can leverage internally as well. Climate change is affecting so many different people, businesses, government in so many different ways. We really know that we need to take measured risk, which is part of the venture process, and in return get so much upside potential as well.